Current on News 8 starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Shelby Kluver. Welcome to The Current on News 8. Here's a look at your current headlines we're tracking in our first half hour. First up, American Pickers star and Quad Cities native Frank Fritz has died. We're live in LeClaire where the community is remembering the man who traveled the country, always searching for unique treasures. Plus, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But just how often should you get screened and when should those screenings start? Also tonight, Iowa football is climbing the ranks even though the Hawks had last Saturday off. How the well-rested Hawkeyes are ready to play the route of spoiler at the shoe. And then later, all four top-seeded WNBA teams will hit the hardwood again tonight as the playoffs continue. We've got all your action coming up on Women in Sports. It's good to see you.
Hi, how was your time off? I understand you went to about a couple of concerts?
Yeah, I did. But I was waiting to see you because on the other side of the country where I was at,
Yes.
My brother in Wyoming last night got 2 text messages from the Weather Service, one for a freeze warning,
Yes.
and one for a wildfire warning. Thought, oh my gosh, what a dichotomy.
Well, I tell you, and you know, that's something we have to be concerned about maybe in the weeks ahead because of the fact that we've been stressing a lot of dry weather. I mean, there is really no organized chance of wet weather in our forecast. So we have to be concerned, especially for the farmers out there that may be doing their harvesting in those fields. You know, you can't to be surprised about any type of like a fire danger or something that may come up. So that's the thing that we're monitoring, which may come up maybe sometime at the end of this week, maybe even next week. Stay tuned.
I will.
For that. You picked a good day coming back.
I know.
So nice out there, lots of sunshine across the board, and temperatures are doing quite nicely too, with readings that you can see in the upper 60s and lower 70s. That's more like October to start off the brand new month, that is for sure. We've been concerned about some wind. It had been gusting on average around 30 miles an hour earlier on in the day, but now things have kind of lessened up on those wind gusts as of this hour, so that is some fairly good news. At the airport of Moline, we're at 71 degrees. That is the high so far. North winds at 13. Dew point temperature, wow, all the way down around 32 degrees in downtown Davenport, 69 degrees. And there is that northwest wind at 13. I'm seeing a lot of light jackets here and there in some areas across our town today. Let's kind of break down these temperatures, shall we, as we go through the evening and overnight. And keep in mind, these temperatures are going to be cooling off very quickly overnight. Look at this. You may want to think about not keeping the windows open because those temperatures before dawn will likely be dropping around the lower 40s. But we're talking about a swing in temperatures in the days ahead, Shelby, and we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Well, reality TV star and Quad Cities native Frank Fritz passed away last night. His American Pickers co-star Mike Wolf paying tribute to his longtime friend on social media, calling him a dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny. News 8's Jenna Webster is live in LeClaire tonight, just outside of the antique archaeology store. People from as far away as New York and Maine visited the store today. Hey, Jenna.
Hey, Shelby. Yeah, a lot of the people I spoke to today were just learning about Fritz's passing. Some then started remembering some funny moments from the show that they loved or even events they'd met him at. One woman this afternoon even brought flowers to the store, saying she was a fan of the show.
We're so fortunate and so happy that this happened to us.
Now, that was Fritz back in 2010 at the Capitol Theater in Davenport for the TV debut of American Pickers. Fritz was on the show up until 4 years ago when he left midway through its 20th season. He was hospitalized 2 years ago after suffering a stroke. A longtime friend told the Associated Press today Fritz never fully recovered. He passed away last night at a hospice facility in Davenport. Now, Mike Wolf today adding in that social media statement saying, quote, "I feel blessed that I was there by his side when he took one last journey home." Shelby?
All right, thank you so much, Jenna. Fritz was 60 years old. Last year, American Pickers paid homage to Frank with a best of episode called Frank Almighty, showing some of his funniest moments and best buys. And that episode is streaming online from the History Channel. Meanwhile, the dock workers' strike could take a big toll on the economy with supply shortages and higher prices. Union workers at 36 ports from Texas to New England are on strike. About 45,000 workers hit the picket lines at midnight. They're pushing for higher wages and limiting the use of automation at the ports. Now, the strike will impact retail, manufacturing, and agriculture industries, and that means clothes, car parts, and produce. Our financial expert, Mark Gravicheski, says this would cause shortages and reignite inflation.
the end result of this supply chain disruption, it can be highly inflationary because there are fewer goods on shelves or in business inventories. It kind of creates this upward pressure on consumer prices on everything from from food to clothing to medicines and many household items.
Now, Mark tells News 8 the strike could cost the economy $5 billion a day in economic growth. And Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said at an economics conference today, the U.S. economy is in solid shape and more interest rate cuts are in the pipeline. But the size and speed of those cuts does depend on the evolution of the economy. The Fed penciled in 2 more quarter-point cuts for the final meetings this year. And Powell said the Fed is also recalibrating its key interest rate, which now is at about 4.8%. Well, a big habitat restoration project on Beaver Island near Clinton is now complete. Today, authorities celebrated the big milestone with a ceremony in nearby Albany, Illinois, just across the Mississippi. And it has taken years and millions of dollars to get this project done. It's just one of several similar projects still going on, and the goal is to restore and protect the natural environment. So upgrades included bank stabilization, timber stand improvements, plantings, and other reforestation.
For the last 200 years, we've had a lot of human settlement in this area, and that's put stressors on a lot of the habitats.
And this project seeks to restore a good bit of those forestry resources by improving the overall health of the existing trees that are there and planting new ones as well.
Congress has been funding the Upper Mississippi River Restoration Program for almost 4 decades. The projects are completed in partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Well, October is here, and with it comes a whole lot of pink. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we sat down with Genesis Health System to chat about the importance of mammograms and when you should be getting screened.
We are joined now by Dr. Fain with Genesis. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it seems like a pretty obvious question, but why don't we start with this? I mean, what is a mammogram for people that have never gotten it? What's the experience like?
So, a mammogram is a type of test used to find breast cancer and other non-cancer abnormalities in the breast. It's actually a type of X-ray. They take a couple of minutes to do in the office, and you'll hear this term 3D mammogram. That is the standard of care. That's all the types of mammograms we do at Genesis are 3D, and that's the most accurate check for breast cancer.
So how critical is it to get these mammograms? You know, you see everybody wearing pink in October, you hear about it all the time, you see the ribbons, but really, truly, it can take a lot of time and effort to get in and schedule an appointment. But why is it so important to do that?
Good question. So basically, about 1 in every 8 women will have a diagnosis of breast cancer at some point in their lives. And mammograms are the only tests that have actually been shown to reduce your risk of dying from breast cancer. And that's because the mammograms can find the cancers when they're at their earliest, smallest stages, sometimes before a woman can even feel a lump. And that's when they're at their most treatable. So your odds of surviving breast cancer, if you've been getting your mammograms, are way higher as well.
So is this something you should be doing once a year? And what age should you start thinking about this?
Yeah, so we recommend that everyone starts screening at about the age of 40. So a mammogram every year starting at age 40 and going on until, so long as you remain in good health. There are some women, though, that are at a higher risk for breast cancer. Usually they have a family history of breast cancer. And a lot of those women might need to start screening even earlier than 40, sometimes by 30. So my recommendation is every woman have a conversation with her primary care doctor to find out exactly what her risk is. And that way she can have a plan for screening going forward. At Genesis, we also have what's called a high-risk screening program, where you get a specialized breast exam by a high-risk breast cancer expert, and you might get additional screening like a once-a-year MRI as well.
In the Quad Cities specifically, if you can speak to that, what are you seeing? What are the trends? Are more people coming in?
So in general, in the last few years, and this is countrywide as well, we have found that the rates of breast cancer are actually sort of creeping up every year. It's not a huge percent, it's about 0.5% every year, but they are going slightly up. What's worrisome to us as doctors, though, is that the rates are going up faster in women in their 40s. The 40s to 50s decade, the number of cancers we're seeing are going up. So that just kind of underlines for us how crucial it is to start screening at age 40.
Always best to catch everything as soon as you can. Dr. Fain, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Fain also says certain populations are more likely to have breast cancer, such as those with dense breasts or people with a family history of the disease. And of course, we do have our full online version of this article up on our website underneath the As Seen on TV tab. And still ahead, check out this asteroid. But it turns out the person who discovered it is from Dixon, Illinois, and in doing so, she became just the 4th person in history to make this kind of find. Her groundbreaking space discovery coming up in our second half hour.
Let's take a look at Interstate 80 from Iowa City all the way through the Quad Cities. Check on that traffic as we're heading toward rush hour, and everything's looking A-OK, just the way we like it. Of course, our skies have been nice and bright of late. We'll keep that going. The big thing is going to be the swinging temperatures in the days ahead. We'll talk about those numbers right after the break here on The Current on News 8.
Hey, welcome back. Our first current weather shot of the day is of this morning's sunrise in downtown Davenport. Although the sun could have fooled me because I thought it was a lot warmer out than it actually ended up being.
It was a touch on the cool side because the front came in
just
well before dawn and kind of provided a little breeze. I don't know if you felt that this morning.
Yeah, I felt it.
Yeah, so put a little coolness in the air, but it's the first day of October, get us in that fall feel, you know.
Exactly.
Sunrise this morning was 6:59. Come tomorrow, as we take a look at our graphic, it's going to be at 7 a.m. Okay, it's going to get the days are getting shorter, so our sunrise is going to get a little bit later until we get to daylight saving time ending by the time we get to early November. Can you believe that that is now, what, 33 days away that we have to turn our clocks, and yeah, we lose an hour of sleep, I guess it is. Oh, well, oh, well. I always look forward to like Halloween, 30 days away. It's so many decorations, by the way. I've never seen so many decorations out given the first day of October across our hometowns. It is pretty amazing, some of the decor that's going on out there. Here's our eagle eye on top of the call building. I'm not saying call building, it's up top of our station. And we're looking down and everything's looking good. Of course, we should be looking at those skies. They've been nice and bright throughout the day. Currently 71 degrees. That has been our high so far. And that wind, which was gusting around 30 miles an hour, even stronger in some of our hometowns, are showing signs of weakening. 71 degrees also in Princeton, home of the Tigers, by the way. 68 degrees from Clinton down to Geneseo, Kewanee, Aledo, also around Burlington at 68. Mount Pleasant, Tipton around 68. 70 degrees we're noticing over in Muscatine. And skies have been looking really nice around the area. A few clouds we're noticing off to our north and west. We'll be seeing a few of those from time to time. Front that came in early this morning before dawn, that is now well off toward the east of us. And the flow coming mainly out of the north and west may provide us with a few of those fair weather clouds. Farther back as you go, another system, another front that is scheduled to be arriving sometime later on Thursday, but that too will be coming in on the dry side. With these tracks well to our north, it's a sure sign that our chance of seeing any organized wet weather is pretty much nil. Let's put it that way. So really the headlines that we see with these weather systems tracking to our north will be this swing in temperatures in the coming days. That's kind of what we're looking at. That's really the main headlines that we're looking at here. Through the evening and overnight hours, we're blowing some of these clouds aloft. So we'll call it generally mostly fair skies across the area. But keep this in mind. The winds are going to be fairly light. The air of today, which has been pleasantly cool, is going to plummet. So you may want to think about having that window shut this time, just because our overnight loads will be dropping the lower 40s, some outline areas. I wouldn't be surprised as they reach around the upper 30s. That's how cool it's going to be. Fortunately, as we make our way into our Wednesday, it is still full-blown sunshine around the area. What we're not noticing is returning those winds out of the warmer south and west. So temperatures are going to recover nicely. I think we're going to be seeing numbers going into the afternoon hours right around the low to mid-70s. Folks, that is about seasonal for this time of year. And that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. Temperatures will continue to warm as we get to Thursday around 83. Then here comes the front rolling in sometime by late Thursday night. It was slightly cooling down those numbers on Friday. And then by the time we get to about Saturday, we start warming up those temperatures again. Why? We're turning those winds back out of the south. So we'll be back in the 80s as we start the weekend. And once again, staying on the dry side. Folks, it's going to stay dry for quite a while. I'll show you that with the 8 and 14-day tracker right after this.
A thriving community deserves a safe, solid, and secure financial partner. Blackhawk Bank and Trust has built a legacy here in the greater Quad Cities as your local community bank for over 60 years. From our beginnings in Milan to 18 locations today, we've grown because we build true relationships with our customers on both sides of the river. No matter how you choose to connect with us, come experience the way banking should be.
Here's your 8-day tracker. I tell you, farmers out there have been doing some serious harvesting in the fields, loving this weather and forecast. You can see the swing in temperatures will continue on heading into next week, with numbers dropping as low as 70, but near 80 degrees as we head later in the week. No real serious or organized chance of wet weather until we get to maybe after the following weekend, Shelby, and that's when we could eventually see a major cool down in the days to follow.
Oh, so fall's just around the corner.
That's right.
All right, thanks, James. Well, after an early season bye week, the Iowa Hawkeyes will face their toughest test of the season this Saturday at third-ranked Ohio State. Sports director Matt Randazzo was in Iowa City today, where the Hawkeyes are relishing the role of the underdog.
Hey Shelby, the Iowa Hawkeyes look at every game as an opportunity. Well, no greater opportunity than this Saturday. Iowa hits the road to take on third-ranked Ohio State in their biggest game of the season to date. Iowa, of course, not yet to put together a full 4 quarters of good football. They know that that's a must coming up against the Buckeyes on Saturday if they're to pull the upset. Iowa currently 20-point underdogs as they get ready to go to Columbus. We'll hear from the Hawkeyes and have a whole lot more on this matchup coming up tonight on News 8 at 6 o'clock. We'll throw it back to you.
All right, thanks, Daz. And still ahead, from one sports showdown to a few more. How the WNBA semifinals are shaping up ahead of Game 2 action tonight. Women in Sports is up next, right here on The Current on News 8. Welcome back and welcome to Women in Sports. The WNBA playoffs are in full swing. A'ja Wilson and the Aces are looking for the three-peat, while the Liberty and Sun are chasing their first titles. And don't count out the Minnesota Lynx, who are looking to regain their glory years. But we start with the rematch of last year's finals. The New York Liberty currently have a one-game lead on the Las Vegas Aces. This is a best-of-5 game series, and Game 2 kicks off in just about 2 hours at 6:30 Central Time on ESPN2. New York is hosting again, and all eyes are what's shaping up to be a legendary rivalry between reigning MVP A'ja Wilson and last year's MVP Breanna Stewart. Meanwhile, in our other semifinal game, the Connecticut Sun lead the Minnesota Lynx by 1 game. The second matchup in that series will kick off at 8:30 Central Time, also on ESPN2. The Sun pulled off the upset in Minnesota this weekend, defeating the Lynx by just 3 points. But these are the top 2 defensive teams in the league. And one member of the Lynx, Napheesa Collier, is now the Defensive Player of the Year. She took 36 of the 67 votes for DPOY and is now just the second Minnesota player ever to win it. Collier held her opponents this season to just 36% in field goal shooting, and she also recorded career highs in rebounds, steals, and blocks. Meanwhile, it was drama in Chicago this weekend as the Sky fired head coach Teresa Weatherspoon after just 1 year leading the team. The Sky missed the playoffs after losing 5 games in a row to end the season after Angel Reese was sidelined with a wrist injury. Now, following the news, Reese tweeted that she was heartbroken and said Weatherspoon, quote, didn't deserve this. We now know the date for the W's newest team to start filling its roster. The Golden State Valkyries will hold its expansion draft on December 6th. The team will be able to acquire the player contract of or negotiate the rights to one player from each of the other 12 teams. Each of the other teams will be able to protect 6 of their players from this draft. And in probably the sweetest basketball news all week, LA Sparks rookie Cameron Brink got engaged to her longtime partner, Ben Felter. She announced the news over Instagram. Brink was the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft, but suffered a season-ending injury to her ACL 15 games in. Congratulations on the beautiful engagement to both of them. And now let's turn to tennis as the China Open continues. Just hours ago, American superstar Coco Gauff defeated Naomi Osaka. Osaka had been looking for her biggest win since her maternity leave, but was forced to retire following Gauff's hard-fought win in the 2nd set. Osaka later revealing she is suffering from a back injury in practice. Gauff is now through to the final 8 players in her first tournament since finding a new coach. Meanwhile, Rock Island native Madison Keys will face the world's best tennis player in Wednesday's 3rd round. Aryna Sabalenka has been unbeaten in her last 14 matches, and this will be their 5th time meeting, including twice last year. Keys has only defeated Sabalenka once back in 2021. This weekend, FIFA Video Games, which is now called EA Sports FC, released the latest edition of its soccer game, now with more features for its women athletes. FC 25 is throwing women's manager and player career mode into the mix for the first time ever. So players will now have access to the full 2024-25 rosters of the top women's soccer leagues across the world, including the NWSL. The actual athletes represented in this game say this is long overdue, but a welcome addition. And finally tonight, we need to shout out the 2 local ladies that made it onto this week's Midwest Technical Institute Score Standout list. First up is Ella Darer from Assumption, recording 12 kills and 5 blocks. She now has Assumption's record in blocks with 250, and she joins Leah Caffery from Wilton, who recorded 43 assists in the Beavers' win this past week. You can vote for this week's Score Standout nominees by visiting WQAD.com. The poll is on the sports page and the score page, and you have until tomorrow at noon to cast your vote. Each week's winner will be featured on Off the Cuff. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Women in Sports. Still ahead, hundreds of missiles were fired into Israel today from Iran. How Israel and the UN Security Council are responding to the so-called severe escalation.
Let's go and take a look at Interstate 74, see if there's any problems right around the Quad Cities itself. And right now, things are looking really good. Off of Avenue of the City, 16th Street, 7th Avenue, all looking A-OK, just the way we like it. Weather has been nice of late, right? But a big swing in temperatures still on track in the days ahead. We'll talk more about that in the second half hour of The Current here on News 8.
The Current on WQAD News 8 at 4:30.
Hello and welcome back to The Current at 4:30, and thank you for joining us on our News 8 Plus app. In our first half hour, we covered the death of American Pickers star Frank Fritz, as well as a port strike that's expected to drive up prices across the country, as well as the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And now here are the new headlines we're tracking in our second half hour. Starting with breaking news in the Middle East right now. Iran firing waves of missiles into Israel, intensifying conflict throughout the region. Plus, former President Trump making false claims about Hurricane Helene relief efforts. How the governor of hard-hit Georgia is responding tonight. Also tonight, making outer space history. Meet the woman from Dixon, Illinois, who just became the 4th person in history to discover a specific asteroid. And later, when disasters like Hurricane Helene strike, you can count on scammers preying on those who've been impacted. So we'll show you how to avoid becoming a victim in today's edition of Verify, coming up in about 20 minutes. Yeah, not as warm as yesterday, but we'll take this.
Yeah, for the first day of October, which I still can't believe.
I can't get over that.
It's quite refreshing.
Yeah.
Pleasantly cool, I like to put it. As you can see, lots of sunshine that we continue to see across the area, at least noticing some of the clear skies across the area. And temperatures actually aren't too bad, quite seasonal for this time of year, with readings upper 60s, lower 70s. I would say just below the norm for this time of year, but that's still quite nice. It's just been a little breezy, especially for the first half of our day, but those same winds, which were gusting over 30 miles an hour in most of our hometowns, now beginning to show signs of easing up, and that will continue on as we go through the next few hours or so. At the airport of Moline, we're at 71. That's been the high so far. North wind at 13, gusting around 23. Dew point temperature, wow, awfully dry. Look at the relative humidity, around 24%. Over in downtown Davenport, looking very nice indeed, 69 degrees. And a northwest wind also quite breezy as well. This air, folks, is dry when I talked about that relative humidity. So a pleasantly cool day today, but it's going to allow it to cool very quickly overnight. You may want to think about not having those windows open overnight because temperatures are going to cool down, possibly on the lower 40s before dawn. Outlying areas may be even a touch cooler than that. But there's a swing in temperatures in the days ahead. We'll talk more about that, Shelby, in just a few minutes.
Well, breaking in the Middle East, Iran fired hundreds of missiles into Israel today. Now, Iran says this is retaliation for a wave of assassinations carried out by Israel over the last several weeks. The chaos today follows 11 months of Israel's war in Gaza, which has killed thousands of Palestinian civilians. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Iran fired around 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. This all comes after Israel fired airstrikes into Lebanon, killing more than 1,000 people and launching a ground incursion into the country. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran made a big mistake today and is going to pay for it. The UN Security Council is expected to meet Wednesday regarding the attacks. The Iron Dome defense intercepted most of those missiles. Now we turn to the latest in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. The storm surge has been catastrophic, stranding residents and destroying homes in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. Hurricane Helene now ranks among the deadliest storms to hit the U.S. in modern history. More than 130 people have been killed. While surveying storm damage in Georgia, former President Trump falsely claimed officials there had a hard time getting President Biden on the phone.
Let me get this straight. He's lying. And the governor told him he was lying.
He just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
President Biden says he plans to visit the region tomorrow. Rebuilding is expected to take months. Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance face off tonight in what will most likely be the only vice presidential debate. The two will go head-to-head at 8 p.m. Central Time to try to make their case to millions of voters. The Harris-Walz campaign is downplaying reports that claim Walz is nervous after he allegedly previously warned Vice President Harris that he's a, quote, bad debater. Former President Trump says he's confident Vance will have the edge.
He's going up against a moron, a total moron. How she picked him is unbelievable. And I think it's a big factor. There's something wrong with that guy. He's sick.
You can watch the vice presidential debate right here on Channel 8. Coverage starts at 7 with an ABC News special, Race for the White House. Meanwhile, former President Jimmy Carter is celebrating a century today. The White House wishing Carter a happy birthday from Washington. And Carter is the first American president to reach 100 years of age. The Democrat served as president from 1977 to 1981, then worked for decades leading his nonprofit organization, the Carter Center, advocating for human rights. Back in 1979, thousands gathered on the Mississippi riverfront when President Carter visited the Quad Cities during his riverboat tour.
We're really excited coming back to Davenport, and thank all of you for coming out to welcome us. This last 3 days have been very exciting for me and for Amy and for Rosalind. To see the beautiful Midwest, to enjoy the Mississippi, and above all, to see the wonderful people that have made us feel so welcome.
Carter has been in hospice care for the last 19 months in his hometown, Plains, Georgia. And now we are turning to outer space. The Catalina Sky Survey is a project down in Arizona that uses telescopes to find objects in the sky like comets and meteors. And last month, one of the team's astronomers became just the 4th person in history to discover this asteroid, an asteroid before it broke through the Earth's atmosphere. She also is thought to be the first woman to ever make this discovery. And the coolest part is she grew up right around here in Dixon, Illinois. So earlier, I got to sit down with the history-making astronomer to find out just how she spotted this asteroid.
I am so excited to introduce you all to Jacqueline Fazekas, a Dixon High School grad that now lives down in Arizona and is busy making history. Jacqueline, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, can you tell us about the object that you discovered? What was it?
So it was an asteroid that impacted Earth. Technically, it impacted Earth's atmosphere. I was working one of my normal shifts at one of our survey telescopes. How it normally works through the night is we take images over the sky and we look for moving objects. So if they're new objects that haven't been seen before, we submit them as potential new objects. And then we follow them up over time and narrow down their orbits. For this particular object, as soon as I submitted the data, we got back an alert right away that there was a 25% impact chance with the Earth. So these alerts go out to all the telescopes all over the world. And a whole bunch of telescopes went and followed it up. And over the next few hours, we were able to narrow down the impact chance to 100% and also narrow down the location of impact.
Where did it impact?
So it burned up in the atmosphere over the Philippines, Luzon Island, I believe.
Okay, so just get this out of the way. No one was hurt. No, nothing was damaged.
No, it was totally harmless. We say impact, but impact could mean usually it just means impacting the atmosphere, not actually impacting the ground. So it really hit the atmosphere and then it burned up.
Okay, can you put this into perspective for us? We were talking earlier, you've been at your current job for about 2 years now, and to become the 4th person ever to do something within 2 years, I mean, this seems wild.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy. We know going into the job that, you know, we can find some cool things. We find comets all the time. Some people find really cool comets that make close approaches or can be really bright. Someone on our team actually discovered a mini moon. So we're no strangers to the possibility of, you know, having your name attached to things, but impactors are something that we've only started being able to discover recently. So to find something like this, only being here for a couple years, it's really crazy.
I really don't want to diminish the work that you did, and I'm struggling to find a better word for this, but is this something that, again, I don't mean it this way, but was lucky, or how did this happen?
Yeah, so it's a balance, because, you know, there is the element of you have to be the observer scheduled at that telescope on that day. You have to be observing the right part of the sky, because it's very easy that we might not discover something or someone else would discover it. So there is that kind of element of chance. But then there is a lot of technical training that goes into what we do. So, you know, to be able to get the images back and determine that it was a moving object, it's a pretty faint detection. Only 3 other people who have done this before, and a couple of them have 3 impactors that they've discovered, which is awesome. So
That's so cool. So before I let you go, what is your message to anyone, but especially young girls that are watching, when it comes to blazing a trail and breaking records and making history?
Yeah, so like I said, there is a bit of an element of chance in discoveries like this, but the biggest thing I want to emphasize is that anyone can do this. So, I just happen to be interested in space and to go to school for astronomy and get a job in astronomy, but it could easily have been any one of the other members on our team to make that discovery. So, for me personally, it's just growing up in the middle of nowhere in Illinois, finding this job, getting to make some cool discoveries, that could really happen to anybody. So if there's things you're interested in and you have the passion and the desire to make it happen, then you can definitely make some cool discoveries like this too.
And for those of you just joining us from playoff baseball, that woman you just heard from is from Dixon, Illinois. She's an astronomer now living down in Arizona, and she just became the 4th person in the world to ever discover an asteroid before it broke through Earth's atmosphere. Jacqueline, of course, says asteroids like this don't get named after the people that find them, but if she discovers a comet, then her name would forever be attached to it. And as always, we've got an online version of this story up on our website under the As Seen on TV tab.
That is impressive. Let's put it that way. Taking a look at our skies, it's been a lot of sunshine swimming in that blue ocean sky. Temperatures, though, have been a big difference. Much cooler today. Swinging temperatures, that is what we'll be highlighting in the days ahead. We'll talk about those numbers right after the break here on The Current on News 8.
Welcome back. We are getting a nice view of the western side of downtown Davenport for our second current weather shot. I always love the bridges in the background of this, but...
Early morning?
Yep, this was
Another early
earlier.
morning? Okay.
Yep. And we want to thank everybody that's just tuning in and joining us if you came from baseball playoffs. We were airing the entirety of The Current on our News 8 Plus app. We started that right on time, right at 4 o'clock. So We will have playoff baseball again tomorrow, so you can catch the whole Current
Yes.
on News 8 Plus.
And it was a good game, too, I heard as well. I mean, Detroit won. I think our general manager, who's from Michigan, is very excited. I heard a lot of, cheering, screaming.
I saw him lurking around there looking at the score.
Yeah. So there's one person who's really excited. That's for sure. Let's go and take a look outside on top of the building here in Moline at our station. And all looking good. Of course, looking down, but if you've been looking up today, we've been dealing with a lot of sunshine across the area. Now we've been dealing with some high clouds slowly moving in. And we'll be seeing a few more of those as we head into the evening hours. We're at 71 degrees and did a check on this. That's the high for today. North winds at 13, gusts around 23 miles an hour. See if that temperature may climb 1 more degree. Dew point temperature, about 32. This air is really dry. So these temperatures that we're currently seeing are going to very likely cool off pretty quickly as we head overnight. But right now, the Quad Cities has a warm spot at 71, 70 degrees over in Princeton, and mainly 60s that we see from 63 degrees already in Stockton to about 67 degrees in Kewaunee, Galesburg, Aledo, even around DeWitt as well. You can see some of those high clouds slowly lurking into our north and west. We'll see a few more of those from time to time as we go through the evening and overnight hours. The front that came in early this morning, providing was some of that wind that we saw in some of the outlying areas, now well off to the east. Even farther west as you go, another system, also with a front, that's going to be quickly advancing his way eastward, but that too is expected to be dry as it arrives sometime later on in the week. The bottom line here, the main storm track is to our north, not much moisture to work with farther south as you go. So this is a sure sign that our stretch of dry weather of late is going to continue on in the days ahead. The only real change folks will be seeing with these dry fronts coming on in is going to be this on our temperatures, a swing in temperatures in the coming days. Here's our future track this evening and overnight. You can see we'll be blowing in some of those clouds from time to time. Temperatures, though, aren't going to hold back even with those clouds. Numbers are going to be cooling off very quickly with numbers in the lower 40s. Outlying areas, my goodness, could be seeing numbers in the upper 30s. We're going to recover nicely. It's going to be a chilly start to your Wednesday, but we're talking about bountiful sunshine throughout our Wednesday. So numbers are going to recover nicely. Normal high for this time of year, I believe, is around 73. Well, guess what? We'll be pretty close to seasonal, if not right on it in some of our hometowns as we head into tomorrow afternoon. But after we get into Wednesday, those same southerly winds that will improve our temperatures tomorrow will get even warmer heading into Thursday before a front comes in late Thursday night, turning those winds out of the east, slowly dropping temperatures in the 70s. But then as we get to Saturday, we turn those same winds down the south again and warming up those numbers right back in the 80s to start off the brand new week. Well, that swing in temperatures, that's going to continue on even after Saturday. I'll show you that right now with our 8-day tracker right here, showing that by Sunday, numbers will be in the mid-70s, and you can see 70 or better in the days to follow, stretching out even more on our 14-day tracker. You can see we may be talking about numbers either near or around 80 degrees as we get to that maybe later in the week of next week, following weekend. Just no organized chance of wet weather. Shelby, that could still change even after the days going after the following weekend. But until then, it's going to be a long stretch of dry weather. We're going to have to use some serious watering, especially some of those mums that I've been seeing around town, which have been absolutely gorgeous.
The mums are gorgeous, but the 60s I saw at the end of that 14-day outlook.
It may be a sign of even cooler numbers. There's a trend that shows even cooler numbers after that, but that's way out there in left field.
Yeah, way out there. Okay, thanks, James. Still ahead here, Hurricane Helene has turned millions of lives upside down, and for some, more misfortune lies ahead. Coming up after the break, we'll show you how to avoid becoming a target for scammers preying on people in a time of need, right here on The Current on News 8. Welcome back. Scammers often prey on vulnerable people in need of help after a hurricane. So Ariane Till with the Verify team explains how to avoid falling victim to a scam after disaster strikes.
Scammers pose as government officials, insurance agencies, contractors, and charities to target people in need of help after a hurricane. They use fraudulent calls, texts, emails, and social media posts to prey on people in need of help. Using these sources, we'll share verified tips on how to spot a scam during hurricane season. If you get a call claiming to be an official from a government agency or somebody asking about an insurance claim or policy, hang up and call the number listed on that government agency's official website, or call your insurance agent. Government agencies will not call you. The FCC says you should never reveal any personal information unless you've confirmed you're dealing with a legitimate person or agency. If you're fixing damage to your property, verify that any contractor you're considering is licensed and carries adequate insurance. Never give insurance or other personal information out to companies with whom you have not entered into a contract. Many people wanting to help victims of a storm can also get caught up in scams. If you receive a suspicious email or text message requesting donations or other assistance, do not click on any links or open any attachments. Scammers can use those links to steal your personal information. Only donate to trusted, well-known charities, and always verify a charity's legitimacy through its official website. Tripwire says you should avoid cash donations or wire transfers because they're harder to trace and recover if fraud occurs. If you have any doubts on whether a charity is legit, the FCC says you can check with the Better Business Bureau's Wise Giving Alliance, Charity Navigator, and GuideStar. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
As always, if you see something you want verified, text Verified at 309-304-0888 or email verify@wqad.com. Okay, John, what's coming up on News 8 at 5?
Hey, Shelby, yeah, coming up in just a few minutes, we'll take you overseas where flooding and landslides have claimed the lives of more than 200 people in Nepal. And in Greece, more than 400 firefighters are battling a large wildfire that's already killed 2 people. We'll show you the damage there. Those stories are next on News 8 at 5. Shelby.
All right, thanks, John. And coming up tomorrow, we have another edition of our Current Reads segment to get to. This time, we're checking in with East Moline and some spooky-themed reads for book lovers of all ages. We'll also chat about the library's upcoming teen haunted house. I say teen because it's put on by teenagers in the community, and I've heard it's very, very scary. That's all coming up tomorrow during Current Reads. And also tomorrow, we've got to talk about a run. I will explain when the current continues, but I want to add, if you want to catch us right at 4 o'clock tomorrow, check in on the News 8 Plus app as playoff baseball will surely be happening. And in the meantime, let's take a live look outside at the I-74 bridge as your Tuesday evening gets started. The Current is produced by Matt Mitchell and Vanessa Banks. Our director is Braden Barger, and our editors are Dale Huntley and Jerry Bird.